this wonderful
Here
state
we go.
science standard here. And now, Sarah, is this something that you are teaching or will be teaching?
This is one that I taught at the beginning of this year. So I've
Okay.
already done this, but it's going to need some revision for next year.
Okay.
So the top part here, right where it says Minnesota State Science Standard, this is the actual standard given by the state, and it says that the students will understand that. So I should put that in here.
And Sarah, you said that on the science standards, the big standard is all understand.
Yes.
Okay.
And then in the benchmark, it says just the student will be able to. So,
Okay.
and here it would be explain is what would come next.
Okay. And then there's usually a number of benchmarks then for.
Yep, there's
Uh,
4 or 5 benchmarks for this. So this is the second of benchmarks.
okay. Well, I think it's exciting that we have Andrea and you both in the room because really we could almost have a realistic kind of situation where if Andrea were working with you as an
Mm-hmm.
EL teacher at Park Center, you guys are sitting down. So I would say let's run it that way. The two of you need to teach this, and Sarah, perhaps you have quite a few EL learners. And in
But
fact,
I
I'm
do.
sure you do
Yeah,
have
I do.
quite a few EL learners in your room, and so you want to make sure that they can show mastery of this.
Yep.
I'll kind of step back and maybe just kind of ask questions, but I'll let the two of you go ahead and tear into this benchmark um, like you did on your own benchmarks in your module.
Should
All
we
right.
start by breaking it out into the skill and the content and the context?
I think that's a great idea.
Do we want to highlight it, or how do you?
However you would like is fine.
Yeah, let's highlight it.
Okay.
It's more fun that way.
It is. It's really fun.
Okay, so I put a place where we can make the key right below it.
Awesome. Okay, so for skill, should we do? I forget what it was in the other document. Do we want to keep it consistent?
Oh, I think for your colors, you guys can choose whichever
We can.
ones you want.
Okay, well, let's do green.
Great.
Do you want to choose the content?
Yep, got it. And you could do the context if you wanted.
Okay.
I'll do blue for this one.
Okay. I'll do like a yellow.
Perfect.
Great. Okay, so for the skill,
Mm-hmm.
looks like explain and calculate. Do you agree?
Yep, I
Okay.
agree.
Ooh, now I have to find the same green. See if that one was the right
All
one.
right.
There's too many
Ooh, I
choices.
think I'm
Pretty
wrong.
close. Pretty close.
And then,
So the content,
yep.
sometimes it's almost easier to go straight to the context. Like here, in series and parallel circuits.
Yep, exactly.
Would you say that's the context?
Yep.
And then it's almost like everything else is the
Yep, this middle
the
part
content,
here.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so should we break it out then and
Sounds great.
write it separately? Do you want to do the calculate and I'll do the explain?
Yep, perfect.
Okay. Should we cut off the part student will be able to and just go straight with the verb?
Yep.
Okay.
Mm. Oh. Gotta get past you here. Oh, I'm so sorry.
No, that's okay.
I guess I'll just go above you here.
So we could almost break it out into two each, right? So like calculate could be like in series circuits
Yep.
and then in parallel circuits, and
Yep.
same with explain.
I agree.
Do you teach it separately, or how do you typically like to teach it?
I usually teach. I guess I can't think. Let me think about it.
No problem. Don't want me to put you on the spot.
Yeah, no, I do usually teach them separately, and then we compare them. So we look kind
Okay.
of at what the differences are between the two of them.
Oh, that's cool. Do you start with series or parallel?
Generally, we would do series first.
Okay, cool.
So Sarah, I'm going to guess that calculation would be kind of a specific certain kinds of strategies that they would apply, like formulas and things like
Yes,
that.
there would be formulas. There's formulas tied to each of these, and the formulas are different depending on whether it's a series circuit or a parallel circuit. You're correct.
Okay. And then the explaining, is that usually done in at about the same time as the calculating? Are they kind of tied together?
That's a great question. I had my students do the explaining part first and the calculating second.
Oh, so by explaining, then, is it like they're kind of saying this is this is how I'm intending to find the answer, sort of thing, or?
So I did the explaining part more through observations where we would like build the circuits, and then we would look at how we were able to like see the brightness of the light bulbs in different circuits, and then we would look at simulations to see how the electricity or how the electrons were flowing through the circuits to be able to analyze what the current and the voltage and the resistance and the power were in those situations.
Okay.
So we could almost add to the explain portion. I mean, I'm thinking now from like a language point of view, like through discussion of observations,
Mm-hmm.
kind of a way to guide that. Like if we were to give it to students to guide what they were going to do.
Yep.
Yeah, and so I noticed we're kind of frozen because, like, is there a little bit of a reticence to add it to the actual standard? Is that because I like what you said, because because that's the next question. Well, especially for your learners, Andrea, how are they going to do that?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So if this were a document you were working on, looking at your standards, would you kind of add that into the standard in some way, like this is how the EL learners would do it?
Mm-hmm. Yep, and I might even put in specifically like a sentence starter, like using words like I notice, or this looks brighter because, or this is working better because. So I would kind of plug in, or even some of the vocabulary words like current, voltage, resistance, and power. Like I'd kind of give them ways to use it, and I'd even add that to the objective or the standard that I tell them we're using for the day.
What amazes me is, as a teacher, I would want to work with you. I wouldn't even care that I had EL learners in my room. I mean, because that's the kind of the scaffolding and things that I think I would appreciate having. So that just really is exciting to hear what you can bring to that kind of work.
So
Sarah, is your co-teacher, is the co-teacher you work with, is it an EL teacher?
no, it's not. It's another science physics teacher.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
But
I wondered when you said that.
Oh yeah, no, it's not. It would be great. But one question I have is I did PSYOP training several years ago, and when I did that, they were talking about doing content standards specifically and then language standards separately, and having those two things be separate. Do you feel like for your learners it's better to have them be combined or to have them be separate?
Sometimes I think it maybe depends on the lesson, but sometimes I think it is nice to break it up into the content and the language. So like for the objective, right? So especially if the content objective were calculate the relationship of current, voltage, resistance, and power in series circuits, maybe that's, we'd leave that as the content objective, and then we'd give them the how as the language objective. So saying something like, maybe, like you said, you have them explain it before they even calculate it using the formulas. So maybe we'd say first, explain the relationship between current, voltage, resistance, and power in series circuits, using words like, I notice, or they're connected by, or they're related because, and then maybe we'd have the calculate come second.
Mm-hmm.
So sometimes I do think that they work together kind of in a way that makes sense to put them step one and step two, list them separately. And other times it makes a lot of sense to combine them. Like if you're trying to have students justify something, like in an English language arts class or something, and you might just include as a part of the objective using this is true because, or something like that. So sometimes it kind of lends itself well to being combined, and other times it makes more sense to separate it.
Gotcha. Thank you.